This news was brought to you by Multicultural. Peace Days, a modern mission to spread the word of the possibility for a peaceful world, kicked off in Winnipeg the evening of September 10th. Co-founder and co-chair of Peace Days, Gary Senft, describes the mission of Peace Days as a space that's being created to promote and inspire goodwill and compassion locally, nationally, and internationally.
So our efforts are to support and motivate people who want a culture of peace and compassion by encouraging conversations and trying to establish collaborations and action towards the promotion of positive peace and peace literacy.
Senft was first drawn to this line of work in 2003 when the Canadian Museum of Human Rights was first being developed. The new development of the museum inspired him and his associates to establish Winnipeg as a special place, a center for work in peace and conflict resolution.
And that followed up a bit on the work of Arthur Morrow. Art Morrow created the Morrow Center at the University of Manitoba, Peace and Conflict Resolution. And we were inspired by those types of actions to see what we could do, here in the city.
The Peace Days movement is based on more than peace, but also compassion, empathy, and forgiveness towards others, while also considering the effects of conflict. The project works in tandem with the Conflict and Resilience Research Institute of Canada, who also helps to put events on through Peace Days.
Well, the academic work that institute does works on the hardest of issues. So, genocide, war, that type of thing. But, also just how do you promote peace and diplomacy as opposed to, chaos and disorder.
This particular institution, Senft says, works on large-scale issues with a more global impact.
And that one focuses more on conflicts and difficult areas in the world. So it kind of goes locally with the work we do, just putting on events with schools and other things, to, nationally, what's Canada's position on things, and internationally, how can you work on conflict resolution?
The events for Peace Days vary, having begun the evening of September 10th, with the final event scheduled for September 28th. Each year, the event starts with a peace walk with elementary grade students. Students are then invited to walk through the CMHR. This is the 11th year the Peace Walk has commenced Peace Days.
So we have a number of hundreds of students come out for that event, which is great. The Minister of Education actually provides us with a peace proclamation, inspiring to the students to think about peace.
As for the rest of the events at Peace Days, the topics and mediums vary from one event to the next. While last year a major focus was on forgiveness, this year has its own theme.
We've got a couple of events this year focused on compassion. So with compassion, we've got the executive director, Marilyn Turkovich, from the Charter for Compassion, is coming from Seattle, and she'll be doing a number of events for us speaking.
One such lecture given by Turkovich is called The Charter of Compassion Revisited. The title is called Revisited as more than 10 years ago, a delegation of 20 Winnipeggers went to Louisville, Kentucky to hear about a compassion-based movement. Said movement has since grown globally.
It just acts as a bit of a hub for collaboration around compassion in all things like education, healthcare, the arts.
There will also be several movie screenings and webinars.
So the Conflict and Resilience Research Institute Canada is doing a webinar on remembering the war in Ukraine, discussing that with a current soldier in the Ukraine war. And then we're also doing another one, which is called Pain and Peace. And it's a documentary around that subject area.
By the end of these events, whether one partakes in one or several, Gary hopes that people will come away with an understanding that there are more people in the community who care and that no one is alone, and also how small acts and actions are significant.
So, take whatever action you can. Don't just think about it. Don't despair. What can you do? And, that could be helping a newcomer. It could be volunteering for almost anything, just bringing community together.
Listeners are encouraged to visit peacedays.ca for a full listing of events. You're tuned in to U Radio, where diverse voices connect. Stay with us for more stories and insights that matter.